Hi, doclqj here, and welcome to Familial Bonds 2020 bi-monthly broadcast. This is our first bi-monthly broadcast for the year of 2020, and this is how I've decided that we will move forward with this year's broadcast. I know last year and the prior years, as we've been servicing you guys via YouTube, we've always done it kind of like on a monthly basis. And I'm all about elevation, education, and insight for you guys. Try to give you guys as much free knowledge, and try to cater to the community in the best ways that we know how, and to provide all of the information that you need, to help to improve the functionality of the community as a whole, and the amount of information you have about mental, emotional, and behavioral health and functionality of human beings in your system and yourselves, so that we can improve the amount of the wealth of knowledge, for one, resources, provisions, and a response to people who are having issues with mental health, behavioral health, and emotional health, um, in the community around us, right? And I guess kind of improve the way that we deal with those people that are in our systems that are needing our help. Equip you guys with some of the basic tools that you need to accurately respond. And even though I've been doing this like on a monthly basis to try and give as much information as I can, time just simply will not allow for me to continue it on a monthly basis. And now I have the podcast and a lot of other things going on. So if you guys are not currently subscribed to the podcast, on I think Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and all of those other avenues, if you would please just follow Life Discussions with Dr. Jefferson, you guys will definitely get a wealth of information and insight there as well. So that will be a secondary source for you guys to kind of keep up on a day-to-day, so you can continue to get resources that are not as spaced out as these releases will be, because like I said, these will be now bi-monthly. So this release is February 2020. Happy Black History Month. For those of you who are in America, for those of you who are viewing outside of America, hi! Thank you guys for your following. And if you've not already liked and followed, subscribed to this channel, please do so now, because I'm sure there's something here somewhere that you can benefit from. I think we can all benefit at some point from something, from someone else. A lot of experiences have been brought to my attention. I think over the years, a lot of people have asked me for feedback on a wide array of relational topics. So I've covered a lot of things, from relationship issues to personal issues, growth and perspective issues. Yeah, a lot of things. So we can always benefit from the experiences and the tenure, growth of others, right? So the topic of discussion for this broadcast is going to be grief, right? Properly transitioning through the various stages of grief. More importantly, I want to talk about what it looks like for us to acknowledge, I guess, a piece of ownership, right? In understanding that grief is a part of the human growth process. And the human growth process is on that continuum, right, of our life cycle. What it looks like is we grieve over things that we have lost, whether it be life, people, right? Life pertaining to our pets, or ambition, things that we had at one point in our lives aspired to do. And then maybe something happened in our lives and we realize that we are not going to be able to do that thing. Grief happens when we realize that those opportunities are no longer present in the way that we once housed them in our reality. So it looks very much different than what we previously received them to be in that space that we live in. And so we mourn those things, right? Grief is something that comes in waves, right? So it doesn't all come at one time. The disparity part of grief is something that definitely will revisit you over time. And sometimes knowing what to be prepared for is everything. Many people have gone through the process of burying family members. And so they think, well, I've buried a loved one, so if someone else dies, I'm going to be prepared for it equally. And then they become closely connected to someone, they marry someone, and then they lose that person. And then it hits them when it's time to prepare for that funeral, that they weren't as prepared as they thought they were. So simply having gone through that experience one time before is not preparation enough in and of itself to allow you enough experience and tenure to enter into another grieving process in a different state of emotion, of preparedness. Does that make sense? So your previous experience with grief will not prepare you to walk down another grief process lighter hearted than you did prior. So every time you experience a loss in your life, regardless of whether it's related to the loss of life of another human being, of a pet companion, opportunity of sorts, intimate partner relationships, all of those different types of losses in your life will impact you in the same or similar way. Knowing that they could potentially hurt you even more is what will prepare you the most, believe it or not. Knowing that it's okay to hurt, giving yourself permission is going to be my first point of this discussion. Giving yourself permission to think, feel, and do as needed in the moment. To simply be. Because sometimes we don't know that we need to give ourselves permission. And that's the interesting thing. We think that there is a certain way to do this because the world is watching. Someone is watching what we're doing. Someone is expecting us to behave in a certain manner. Someone is expecting us to do a certain thing in a certain way. There are certain things that we're supposed to be doing along this process that if we don't do them, it's going to make someone feel a certain way. Give yourself permission to be 100% whatever it is that you need in that moment for you. And be okay with it. Because at the end of the day, no one else can walk your experience for you. No one else can feel what you feel. And no one else can offer relief to the grief that you are currently processing. Understanding that piece is going to be the first major component to internal resolve of grief. Okay? So the next piece is understanding, right? So exercising understanding is kind of like a twofold thing. The one requires a slight shift in perspective, just slightly. So just for a second, I want you to hear me out. Just think about what loss really means. So loss could possibly mean that you don't have an opportunity at all. It could mean that the opportunity shifts gears altogether. So essentially, if we're navigating life with a life partner and that life partner dies in a tragic car accident, you can't go and have a conversation with that person anymore. You can't roll over and touch that person anymore. You can't embrace that person anymore. You can't, call that person, and you can't have conversations with that person anymore. You can't do those things that you used to do in life with that person anymore. You can't connect in the same ways that you once did with that person anymore, right? So your shift in perspective needs to be this. Maybe I cannot connect in the same way that I used to. But maybe, just maybe, I need to find other means to allow this person's spirit to continue to manifest in the things that I do in my day-to-day life to allow me to continue to deliver purpose and meaning to the being of them in the components of my life and my spirit in which they've touched me, impacted me, impressed upon components of them onto me, right? And so whatever your belief system is, what this does is give you an internal system of resolve that allows you to give meaning to their life purpose and yours. It gives you a moment of reflection also to determine what it was that they were there in your life for. You understand? Just in case you hadn't done that already. And even if you have done that work, it gives you time to solidify their purpose in your life and to put that thing to work. So sometimes that means that we're going to go and we might take an article of their clothing, maybe the last thing that they were wearing before they transitioned in life, maybe an old towel that they used to dry off with, or maybe there was something else that was meaningful to them and to you at the same time. And now we're going to bury that within the soil of a plant, and we're going to plant new seeds within a plant and soil, and we're going to bring new life. And that tree will become the essence of life, new life for them. And maybe every once in a while you will water, cultivate, prune that new tree, and that new tree is new life, a new purpose, a way of you and that person, that entity, connecting in a new way. Make sense? So that's another one. Okay. And so my third one is really important. Okay. Allow yourself as many waves of grief as necessary. So understand that the pattern of grief and the expression of grief may take on various depictions. So it may look different ways for everybody. It may look different ways for you at different times. Okay? And so one day you might be crying uncontrollably. The next day you might be screaming, because you're angry. The next day you might be searching for meaning. And so you might be really anxious, looking around, trying to find things, journaling, jotting down notes. Allow yourself to have all of those moments because you need all of those moments, okay? Do all of those things that you need to do. Get all of that energy out. Allow yourself all of those moments because what is happening is you're releasing energy. And that energy needs to go somewhere. It doesn't need to be bottled up because at the end of the day, when you bottle up energy, you're not allowing yourself to release what needs to be released outside of the body. So the body is a vessel for energy, and the energy that flows through you has to flow through you and out of you. That's a necessary component to your basic survival on an emotional level and a spiritual level as well. And so when you give yourself what you need, you not only feed your soul and your spirit or whatever, but you're also feeding your body. Find yourself a meditative stance to remain mindful of what you're going through during your grief. Figure out how it manifests in your body. Where you need the most relief. Some of us need a massage, get at those shoulders where the tension is building up. Some of us need to run and get some cardio in. Some of us need some quick jumping jacks. Some of us need some push-ups or pull-ups. Whatever it is that you need, tap into mindfulness to be cognizant of how the grief is affecting your body and how your body is telling you what it needs to feel a little bit better so you can be more level. Okay? And the next thing is this. Pay tribute to whatever it is that you are grieving in the way that you see fit. Don't let someone else tell you just how you should be doing that. Okay? Do some deep-seated meditation and reflection and figure out what it is that you need to be doing for you. And for whatever it is that you are grieving. Whoever it is that you are grieving. Okay? We all must lose in order for us to gain. Loss is a natural part of the growth process. In order for us to grow, we must lose certain things. Because we can't continue to add on and add on and add on and add on without sometimes pruning some things off in our lives. But when you say that we're pruning off, we're really not. So something may come off, but not before it's significantly added value to us. And when that added value has literally lived its purpose in our life out, it's a permanent part of our human conditioning. So that means it's stuck with us for a lifetime and maybe more. So this is what I have for you guys for this month's broadcast. If you guys have any questions whatsoever on this broadcast for our bi-monthly, this is February 2020. I hope that this month of love inspires you guys, and in the wake of all things that have happened, wow, my deepest condolences for those of you who have experienced tremendous loss in your family, in your personal lives, in your financial lives, and so much more. And I really hope that this video resonates, and not only resonates, but helps you to find a new way of taking on your life and dealing with your grief. and moving into the next chapter of your life, because it's difficult. But just know, I know it's so hard to hear those words. It gets better, but each day, we don't know if it's better or worse. But there is always light at the end of the tunnel. All right. So if you guys are not already subscribed, please take the time now to do so. I'm sure the link is like below or something, somewhere. Hit the like button, share button, subscribe button. Do that. And I absolutely love you guys. Again, I am doclqj, and this is Familial Bonds 2020 February bi-monthly broadcast now, not monthly. And I will see you guys back again in April. Yeah. Later days. Take care, folks. Bye.